It's almost the end of the first week of training camp and people have already lost their minds. Well, it's me, Jagger May, and that's Alfredo Brown, and we are looking at the week 1 training camp storylines. Alfredo, I have been anti-Giants, particularly Malik Nabers in Dynasty, or in redraft, not in Dynasty. And I've said in Dynasty he could be a sell if we see a dip. Some of that was based on his recovery. We saw ugly runs randomly throughout the season. I know that was just random first pitch or baseball, whatever charity stuff, and he wasn't trying very hard. There were some real concerns. Now we see a clip. He looks like Malik Nabers again. How is your confidence level just seeing him healthy, or what we think is healthy, in training camp?
Yeah, I mean, I think he looks fine in camp. I'm not seeing a guy that looks 100% right now as he's running around. I don't know that I have a lot of faith for this season yet. Like, I'm still not quite there where I'm just buying all the way back in. Even a lot of the most trusted medical experts in our industry have said, even if he's looking good in camp and he's a week 1 start, expect production to drop off for at least 6 weeks. So I don't know how confident I am this year, but in Dynasty, this is the time to buy the dip, right? Like, if there's anyone that has any sort of worries about Malik Nabers, I mean, bet on the talent. We've already seen what he can do, even with a lackluster quarterback. I don't think this is necessarily a Garrett Wilson situation. This is a guy that has shown he can overcome it.
Yeah. And let's just be fair. Just say what you want about the Giants. Jackson Dart would have been the greatest Jets QB of all time immediately. Immediately after 1 year, he would have been the greatest of all time. It'd been Joe Namath, Jackson Dart right there, because that
Mark
bar
Sanchez
is just so
right afterwards.
I'm not gonna lie, it might be. Is Mark Sanchez the third best QB I've ever seen from? Well, those were hypotheticals. Is he the second best? Huh?
Jets Chad Pennington was solid.
Okay, yeah, Chet. Okay, Mark Sanchez is still third, but Fumble is still the third on there. I'm with you, where I think we expect a dip, and it's not just the injury. The injury, if anything, is like, what's the opposite of icing? Like someone farted around the cake, and it's like still not great. I don't want to eat the cake, even though it's just a fart. You know,
it's like cake you found in the trash can, and like it looks good, but there's a hair in it, and you're just like, I can't trust it.
Exactly. That's the injury. The hair that's in the cake is Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
You know, Greg Roman. I keep saying nightmare blunt rotation. Okay, even if you're healthy in the world, you have a Matt Nagy and Greg Roman set of chains around you. Love that for Cam Scatterboo, maybe. I don't love that at all.
Yeah, maybe. And then there's like even talks about how they're not even quite sure what the rotation is going to be in the running back room here in camp, because they're seeing a lot of Tyrone Tracy, and like Cam Scatterboo, despite all of his flipping and doing dumb stuff, like he's not 100% either. So there's just a lot of questions around the Giants. And I feel like this year they're either going to end up being that team that gives you the best value on certain players, or it's going to be the team that burns the most people. And given the coaching changes that have been made there, the type of growth that needs to happen from Jackson Dart, and the injuries all compiling together, I lean more towards they're the team that's going to burn people the most.
Yeah, it's just a trap team. And when I tell people, I hate to quote certain people, it's not the player, it's the ADP. I know he's a very good player, but where you're getting him at, like someone got mad at me on Twitter, is like, you just told us to draft someone before him. I'm like, yeah, if you're going to draft Malik Nabers, just draft AJ Brown or George Pickens first. Yeah. What I'm saying is, don't wait on Malik Nabers and say, well, he's elite. Okay, I get it. I get the chess move. Just go get the elite guy already who has a quarterback, who is healthy, who doesn't have Matt Nagy. That's my argument every time. And that's for redraft. Dynasty, it's different. Had someone ask me, they're like, would I trade Malik Nabers for a 2027 mid-first and Rome Odunze? In theory, yes. In practice, if you are rebuilding, you just kind of want Malik Nabers, right? That's where I'm at.
Yeah. I mean, to me, Malik Nabers, even if he's not good this year, like if you're rebuilding, you're waiting for next year anyways.
You're waiting for next year.
You potentially have a top 5 wide receiver right there. So yeah, I'm sticking with Malik Nabers.
Yeah, I asked the dude, I was like, are you trying to compile first? And he's just like, I already got 3 firsts. Okay, dude, you don't need a 4th. Even in the 2027 class, this is how you end up being a perennial rebuilder. You already have Malik Nabers as a building block. You're going to use those other firsts to go and get other people around your building.
Maybe that's as good as Malik Nabers.
That's my point is. It's like, I'm going to have Rich Yeah, I'm going to have Rich Homie Dotson from Dynasty Nerds on. We argued about this. He's like, I would trade Justin Jefferson. No, the fuck I wouldn't. He's 27 years old. It's like, yeah, people act like Justin Jefferson is father time already. He's just he's 27 years old, man. I'm not like, if anything, I'm buying Justin Jefferson even as a rebuilder, because I don't know about you. I think Justin Jefferson as a 29-year-old is probably better than most 27-year-olds. So
yeah, dude. Like he's gonna be the but we're not even gonna get into that. But yes, I can imagine a guy like Jefferson going well into his 30s, just like Devontae Adams.
Exactly. Now we're going to go to another one who seems like a perennial buy. At what point do we need to make a question mark? It's still camp. Marvin Harrison Jr. I saw the one drop and I'm like, that's just one drop. Then I saw multiple ones. It does give you the ick, man. It's just objectively ugly to look at, and then you see Michael Wilson out there. Again, it's a drill, but he looks more like a dude than he does. Are you officially worried about Marvin Harrison Jr.? This isn't just like the Cardinals are going to suck, guys. Probably.
Yeah.
It's not even just that. But I mean, what happens if they suck and he sucks too? Like those things aren't always congruent. Like look at Garrett Wilson. We know he doesn't suck, but the Jets suck.
Yeah, I'm trying not to overreact, man, because we do this every year where we overreact on one thing. And like even some of those routes where he's running and dropping passes, some of them are behind him, some of them are ahead of him. He's catching passes from a guy who's not even a quarterback on the team. He's like a ball boy or someone that's like an assistant that was helping out with practice that was throwing to him in some of those clips. So it's like I'm not gonna overplay some of those, right? What I will actually like sit here and think about is him. Did you hear his interview where he talked about like, I don't think of the positives. I only think of the negatives. And maybe that's not great for my state of mind, but like, I only think of the things that I can improve upon and the bad stuff. And it's probably not great for my mental health. And I'm like, dog, no, it's not. Like that just sounds awful. And then every time someone talks about him, they talk about him. Yep. He's the second best athlete in his household. I'm like, Jesus. Okay. So like we've got a guy now who, is constantly being reminded of his Hall of Fame father. He only sees the negatives. And now all it takes is this one little thing of him dropping a couple passes in camp of balls that are behind him, in front of him, whatever it may be, or someone taking a Michael Wilson quote out of context and being like, he's the new Puka. It seems like everything is just kind of teetering on the brink of, we could be looking at something that's so hard for us to analyze, which is just a full-on mentee B. Like we could have a guy who's just like, not that interested in football anymore. And that I think is the scariest thing. Once again, I don't want to overplay it, but all these dots starting to connect has me a little worried on that. The talent I think has always been there. Like we've never seen something like this where a guy was so good in college and then comes to the pros and we're just wondering what happened.
Yeah, it's full blown yips, man. This is full blown yips. This is a dynasty show. Dare I say that he's a buy still? Like I don't know.
I think if you're just like taking shots, like that's the thing you do, right?
Yeah,
like this is the best time to do it. People are terrified of rostering Marvin Harrison Jr. If you were ever going to do it, it's right now. If not, then just don't do it. Like that's the whole point.
I have him on one team that I bought him last season, and he's my wide receiver 3 when it was all said and done because I had JSN, Garrett Wilson. I'm like, cool, Marvin Harrison Jr. as my wide receiver 3, even flex, because that was a pretty solid roster. I feel a lot better. And I'm worried about the person, not so much the player. If he was out there, and we're going to talk about him in a minute, if we had to worry about him being Ricky Pearsall, where he just can't stay healthy for whatever reason, half of that reason being he's next to the Springfield power plant, from fucking Homer Simpson's cooking his ass, across the street. Like besides that, I would be worried. But if anything, I think he's a season out for being traded, not because it's not working for him and the trade value they could get is better than what they're getting. And then for him, the mental health of not having to be the savior of the Arizona Cardinals and maybe get a refresh would be tremendous because again, he wasn't even used right for like the first half of his career. People are like, well, that was Kyler. I'm like, I think it was everybody's fault.
Yeah.
Not, it was everyone's fault that year. I just can't get like Drew Petzing gives me the bigger ick than anything. It's like, oh, I didn't know I could move my X receiver from the left side of the field. It's like, oh, wow, let's get an adult in the room.
Dude, it's been all of them, and now we got Nathaniel Hackett there in Arizona, and that's what has me worried.
We're going to
the
talk
most.
about him. We're going to talk about him. I'm actually going to move that shit up before before we go any further and we get to Nathaniel Hackett. You guys got to do the YouTube stuff, man. The stuff that I always ask for. Hit the like and subscribe button. And if you're on your mobile device, hit the hype. Brand new over here. I don't want to spoil it, but I'm hearing the bosses say I could do a lot more dynasty stuff, meaning only dynasty stuff. So if you would like more stuff like this, make sure that you like and subscribe. I will trickle in other stuff in season because just because we play dynasty doesn't mean we need to set lineups. Also, if you are doing redraft, our draft kit is going to be available over at RotoWire. Make sure to go over to rotowire.com, get signed up. We got everything like our brand new draft assistant. The draft assistant is dope. That's just not me saying that because they pay me. It's actually incredibly helpful. More importantly, my rankings are in there. All my rankings, all my stuff's over there. So use my code JAG20 at checkout. We'll hop right back into it. I want to talk about one of the biggest villains of all time. Nathaniel, he who shall not be named Hackett. Jeremiyah Love. Well, he looks like a rookie. What does that mean, dude? And how is that helpful for anyone? Also, why are you there? It's like, why is he there?
Why does
the
he
questions.
keep getting jobs, dude?
Yes.
Like, that's nuts to me, is that he just keeps getting jobs. Like, there's not a profession where you can fail so openly and so freely in front of so many people, and they're like, you know what that guy really needs is another shot. And they just keep doing it over and over and over. And I've heard that he's not technically calling the plays in Arizona, and so maybe that's what they wanted. It's just like a Waymo offensive coordinator that like doesn't actually do anything, and that's who Nathaniel Hackett is. Cool, I guess. Like, there's any number of smart little analytics nerds kids that you could have like brought up from like passing coordinator to offensive coordinator for this, but I hate like the non sequiturs throwing that out there. It's like, Jeremiyah Love sure does look like a rookie. Okay. Like, what does that even mean, dude? And then throw out that he wants to have this rotation of Love and James Conner and Algier, but no mention of Trey Benson, which I think is just hilarious where they're at there.
He's
now.
Drowning in the pool. He's already dead. He's the skeleton.
He's a little kid. Yeah. But the thing is, like, this is what Nathaniel Hackett has done everywhere he's been. Everywhere he has been, like, you go back to when he was in Jacksonville, you look at when he was in Denver, you look at New York, everywhere he has been, he has split the workload for running backs. And it's something we've seen even with guys that were workhorses. Like, we saw this everywhere he's been. So, like, that's why I was kind of out on Jeremiyah Love this year for redraft. For dynasty, I think you still got to be all the way in, right? Like, this is still a pass catching running back that's incredibly dynamic. I don't expect Nathaniel Hackett to be there long term. And then all of a sudden next year, you're looking at his Arizona Cardinals team that's saying, hey, we've got an Arch Manning or a Dante Moore or someone else at quarterback that we're starting this whole thing fresh, and we are going to keep building around Jeremiyah Love.
Yeah, it's in dynasty. Hold on, man. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be really stupid.
Strap it.
Yeah, it's Bijan Robinson to Electric Boogaloo. You know, that's all it is. It's like, why is this lesser guy getting? And you know what sucks? Tyler Algier has been a supporting member of both movies, and it's like, it's not even that I hate Tyler Algier. I feel bad for him. The Cardinals should have made him the starter or do a rotation with Algier and Trey Benson. You know, pull Trey Benson out of the pool. Let him play a little bit. James Conner's probably still serviceable. The answer is that you shouldn't have drafted Jeremiyah Love as your 4th overall pick if that's how you're going to use him. That's the problem, man. Like, it's from a team building standpoint, it was wrong. It's wrong that then you draft him and you're not going to feed him 25 touches a game. What are we doing? What are we doing? You have all these weapons and you're like, oh yeah, I want a rotation. How has that helped you throughout your career, Hackett? How's that? And this is why I say hold fast in Dynasty. Who do you think is going to be there in 2027? Hackett or Jeremiyah Love?
Right. And dude, we've seen this also. Like, you mentioned Bijan Robinson, but like, we saw this with Jahmyr Gibbs, and we've seen this with a lot of like top tier running backs. It's their first year in the league. Coordinators are always like, yeah, we're going to slow roll them in. And then typically by the end of that first year, the player is too damn good to keep on the bench. And then in year 2, they're saying, yeah, we're going to give him a lot more work. He's going to be a workhorse. And usually in year 2 or year 3 at the absolute latest, we're talking about this guy being one of the absolute best values in Dynasty or one of the top players in Dynasty. And if you give up on that now with Jeremiyah Love, I think you're just being foolish.
Yeah. Well, that goes, and I guess I'll use the excuse to talk about TreVeyon Henderson. Like, this is both coming from me as a Pats fan, where I love Ramondre Stevenson. I had to defend every fumble week in and week out. I get it, but what did we see towards the tail end of last season with TreVeyon Henderson? We saw, wow, when you get that guy the football, good things happen. And I think eventually NFL teams start to see that. And what either happens is these guys get fired for not giving the good guys of football, or they start giving the good guys of football, and we start to see a lot of those big runs. We start to see those Bijan Robinson numbers out of people like Ashton Genty, who I expect to see a lot of that from. It's the dynasty. You need to look at it as these head coach hires as temporary bubbles and buys, meaning that, like, okay, their value is going to jump because this guy's in town, or his value is going to drop because this guy's in town. And it's not about Malik Nabers being good, but Matt Nagy's going to make him worse. So I'm going to be looking to buy all off season or all season long when I start to see that. And I'm not going to overpay for him in the off season. That's kind of how you need to, like, people with ball knower in your Twitter name that tell me stupid shit all the time. This is actually how you know ball. It's like, what do these offensive coordinators want to do with them? I got to be depressing, man. We got to talk about our boy, Ricky Pearsall, man.
Dog.
Is it over, man? Is it over for him? It's not the player. It's his body.
So it just seems like this injury, the PCL in particular, it just wasn't handled properly.
It's a common theme with the 49ers, man.
I know. And maybe maybe it really is the electrical plant, and like he just needs to be on a different team. Dude, Ricky Pearsall, 0 injuries kept him out of games in his 5 years in college, regardless of what university he went to. Never missed time in college. Gets to the NFL. All of a sudden now, because of this injury, he's injury prone. Which, by the way, like the first one was homie got shot. It's not that's not an on-field injury. He got shot. And then he has the PCL injury where he misses time, and it's still bothering him. So he's not this injury-prone player. He's had this one injury that has sucked the life out of him and just has not been properly tended to. And this is something that I was reading that commonly happens with PCLs because it doesn't seem as bad as it really is. And so sometimes you'll misdiagnose the grade of the sprain. And you think you can come back, and you're not at 100%. And these players are always stubborn about it. They're like, yeah, I can ride. I'm good. I'm ready to play.
You want to help.
Yeah. And then they're not 100%. And then what happens is you come back, you start practicing, and then you get the knee swelling, like what he's having now. And a lot of the options I was seeing is essentially he can do like PRP, which is the plasma, the platelets, or a cleanup surgery. And if he does the cleanup surgery, we're talking months, and it's potentially the season that's out. And I don't know, man. Like if it's dynasty, I don't know if I kind of just prefer that, but it doesn't seem like it. He's one of my favorite players to draft in fantasy, and this year I think I will be off him entirely.
This, especially for redraft, it's hard to see because they're starting to draft, and they brought in Mike Evans to where now you have George Kittle probably coming back, and I'm not saying George Kittle is going to be the same, but let's put it this way: I like to think about Derrick Henry. Oh, slightly worse Derrick Henry, still better than most players. George Kittle, even slightly worse, is better than most tight ends, so he's going to earn targets. CMC, that motherfucker's earned targets his entire life. He's getting some. Deshaun Stribling. Is that real? Is this a good time to talk about it? I feel gaslit, man. I feel gaslit. I don't know.
I was not the biggest Deshaun Stribling fan. I think he's fine. Like when I was watching the film and putting everything together for his rookie profile, I was pleasantly surprised at how good he was, but that was because I was initially looking at him as a day 3 pick. And I was saying this could be a guy that goes in round 4 or 3, and then he ends up going really early round 2. And I was like, reach. Like, when you see your friend draft the wrong person in fantasy, and you're just like, I don't know about that one, dog. That's a reach. And that's how I felt here with this. But all of a sudden, we're getting to a point where I'm like, okay, there's no Ricky Pearsall. And Mike Evans doesn't seem like he's a surefire guy to make it through the whole season. Christian Kirk's already hurt. The Niners got to throw somewhere. And you got George Kittle coming off the Achilles. And I was just recently charting Brock Purdy. And a few of the routes that he throws best do overlap with what DeJon Stribling can do. And one of those is the dig. And so if Mike Evans is going to be running, some of these deep clear out routes, and let's say he becomes a sacrificial X, DeJon Stribling might be a guy over the middle that they start to use in that Z receiver spot in place of Ricky Pearsall, and have him run some of those backside digs, like a little bit of what Juwan Jennings was doing last year. And that was a big reason they drafted DeJon Stribling, was to be the Juwan Jennings replacement. So as much as I was maybe out, I'm starting to see the path where I go, damn, though, it kind of works.
That's especially, it's like, man, you could probably buy him pretty cheap where he's like a throw in. If you want to rebuild and you want to pick up
right now, the hype is real all over Twitter, man. The hype is crazy. Maybe someone who's like not in the Twitter streets every day, like checking out camp videos and stuff, but like the Twitter hype is insane on DeJon Stribling right now. Like he's probably going for a 27 first. Like something nuts.
Don't play that, guys. Don't do that. I'm talking about play for play. I'm very interested. If you guys have seen DeJon Stribling traded, let me know in the comments, please, for educational purposes. I definitely want to see that, because it's like what you said. What he's good at, he's not a great route runner. Deebo Samuel wasn't a good route runner. They used other receivers to do that. That's what Brandon Ayuk was out there doing. Juwan Jennings was out there doing. And like you said, the dig. That's why I'm big on Quentin Johnson. And I'm like, this motherfucker going to eat 4 digs a game. Yep. And the one thing he can do is after the catch, and the other stuff is extra, like the deep ball stuff that he's gotten better at. I'm seeing one-handed grabs in practice. If DeJon Stribling, I'll go back further. If Quentin Johnston can learn it in this system, I think that DeJon Stribling probably can at this point. And if anything, my initial analysis was wrong, because I try to think about the player in a vacuum, and usually coaches aren't good at developing, but the one system that develops players are these McShanahan ones, where if they like a guy, it's wheels up. If anything, they're going to force it.
Yes, they're going to put a guy in a position to succeed by getting him to do what he does best, instead of trying to square peg round hole. And that was what they did the first year when Ricky Pearsall was coming back from the gunshot wound. They're like, all right, man, let's just get you moving around. Let's get you on some easy routes, get you with the ball in your hands, because you're good after the catch. And that was what they did. It could be the same thing for Stribling.
Was it like a 14 for Pearsall? It was like 14-yard digs and outs. It's like ins and outs. What I saw of him, just all right, man, let's just hit these. And it worked. This is why I draft coaching. I tell everyone anymore, I draft coaching, where, man, we can look at the data. If you have a McShanahan system, you are just infinitely better. I don't understand how coaches talk themselves into the other ones. Like, I will say Josh McDaniels, very good within his own system and created that. I'm happy that Ben Johnson exists, because we have another coaching tree besides McVay and Shanahan. Yeah. Thank God there's someone else pumping out better coaches, because it used to be, all right, Bill Belichick, we're going to send another defensive coordinator to go manage a team. Matt Patricia's stupid ass out there in Detroit. I'm sorry, that was a little disrespectful, but come on, dude.
Yeah, I'm going against, dude. It just hurts my heart still as a Dolphins fan, knowing that Ben Johnson, dude, we had a stacked coaching staff at one point, the Miami Dolphins. They just had Dan Campbell was the interim head coach. Ben Johnson was the wide receivers coach or the quarterbacks coach at one point. We had a nuts staff, and now it's, sad.
Yeah, I got to know the sales pitches for some coaches like Hackett. How are you in meetings, dude?
They know somebody, man.
Yeah. Run a seminar on interviews for some of us who need job. I don't need a job, but I know a lot of motherfuckers who do. Sorry for cursing, guys. Nathaniel Hackett, Jeff Fisher was another one for your old school guy. Every time Jeff Fisher got a job, I'm like,
just good boardroom guys. They are good
Mike McCarthy.
Men. Yes. They're good yes men. They do what the owner of the team says. They're great boardroom guys, and they can go 9-8 for 3 straight seasons and convince the owner and the GM that, hey, we are right there on the precipice.
One piece away.
Always one piece.
Just get me this guy. We're going to go to a team that's already got it together, but another player that's on the Jag poo-poo list, it's Rashee Rice. Redraft, I've been saying he's a fade, and people have been telling me to suck it. For Dynasty, people think that, he's not worth as much as his redraft value because he is a shit ass. Cyrus Allen. I've heard our boy Matt Harmon talk about Cyrus Allen. He's getting first team reps. This means nothing and everything. Do you think that we could see Rashee Rice's volume? Because that's what's saving Rashee Rice. His profile is just a volume PPR scam. He's running 3 routes and eating targets at like a crazy, crazy target share. And what I try to tell people is like, if anyone comes in who can actually earn targets and not get them designed, that isn't the ghost of Kelsey, or excuse me, Taylor Swift's husband, then it's going to be a problem for Rashee Rice. And I don't think people are discounting, or I don't think people are counting Cyrus Allen, but they're also discounting Kenneth Walker, who could catch passes well. And I'm not saying Kenneth Walker is going to do CMC, but guys, when you do projections, it's all about percentages. If you take off 1, 2, 3 points, that shit stacks up over season.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing too, is like Rashee Rice, like you're saying, he just catches those. He's the new slant boy. He's like Michael Thomas, but way worse.
Yeah.
And he's just got a few things that he can do. It's those hitches, it's slants, it's crossers, it's screens. And like, that's basically the route tree there, man. Like there's not much else. The problem is like a guy like Cyrus Allen comes in and I like him and I think he's got some skill. His competition is Tyquan Thornton, who like probably wouldn't be starting.
That's Xavier Worthy's competition. I think that's like, I'm worried. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because Rashee Rice is going to be playing in the slot mostly, right? So you're typically going to have Worthy out at the Z, and then you're looking at the X. So like depending on what they end up doing here, right? Like in Xavier Worthy, we don't know how healthy he's going to be and where he's at. There's not a lot of competition on this roster outside of Rice. So could Cyrus Allen be in the starting lineup? Absolutely. Do I think he's a guy that like changes the DNA of the offense? Probably not. But like you're saying, when it comes to projections in fantasy football, if he can take 2 or 3 targets away a game from Rashee Rice, even just 1, and then you're talking about Ken Walker, that's something that we haven't seen while Rashee Rice has been on this team, is a Kansas City Chiefs offense that can run the football successfully and get the ball to their running backs in space. And that's something that, and you make Ken Walker the 4th highest paid running back in the league, you're going to get him the ball in space. You've seen that he can catch passes. You've seen he can run. They haven't done this since like rookie or second year Kareem Hunt.
LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah.
I was going back to like Andy Reid having a good running back, Kareem Hunt, then LaShawn McCoy. That's it, man.
Was he Jamal Charles too? I don't even remember.
I think Jamal Charles was before him, before he
maybe,
got
there. But besides the point, it's like this is one of the first times that we're seeing him not just have to be like, okay, Isaiah Pacheco, run into the center's ass 3 times. Like now Ken Walker can actually do stuff. And so I think that's going to hurt Rashee Rice a little bit here. I think that having Cyrus Allen be quite literally anything is going to hurt Rashee Rice a little bit here. So is he probably still going to be the lead target earner for the team? Sure. Is it going to be the same?
What does that mean?
Right. Is it going to be the same thing that we've seen in years past? Probably not. I think this is going to be a much more run-centric offense, especially with Patrick Mahomes coming off of that injury and that leg that looks like it's got nothing left on it. Did you see that, him walking in to camp?
Mm-mm.
It's holy muscle atrophy, Batman. Like it just looks skinny. Looks not so great. Yeah. I mean, maybe he's fine, but I would not be surprised if Ken Walker is the just absolute focal point of this offense. Let's get the ball to him in space, and it takes some of those easy targets away from Rashee Rice.
Yeah. And this is what I'm telling folks, is like Patrick Mahomes is still going to be the best quarterback in the NFL. I've just seen this with every best quarterback in the NFL my entire life, where they're like, hey, we got you a running back. And you know what that quarterback thinks? Oh, thank fucking God.
Yeah.
Where I can have a running game to lean on, and then it makes everything else fall into place. Patrick Mahomes hasn't had that. I think he led the team in rushes multiple times last season, like in multiple games.
Yeah.
Like people forget about that. Like there's going to be just a lot more design runs to where Rashee Rice, and I love the point where you said that, yes, he's going to be the lead target earner, but what does that mean? Because I go back to Aaron Rodgers, where, I had Michael Pittman as a hard fade. I said that, like, he might be the second target in the offense. Like, do you really think he's going to be the second target in the offense? I'm like, okay, let's play a different game. Does the first target in the Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy offense matter? What does that mean? A lot of people don't realize that, like, to me, the second target in a Liam Cohen offense is a lot more valuable to me than the first target in an Aaron Rodgers. I want to slow the game down to 45 fucking plays a game. The Steelers had one of the lowest play rates I've seen. It's awful, man. It's awful. And I think that you guys need to be realistic with your expectations. Good segue to go to the Jaguars to talk about their backfield. Bhayshul Tuten. He's someone that people are rooting for Tuten. I'm not, but people are. It's not that I'm not rooting for him. I'm actually in Dynasty. I'm actually heavily invested in Bhayshul Tuten. It would financially be in my favor for him to play well. It's just that I do this for a living, and I'm not going to tell you advice based on where I've invested players. Remember all the things I said about people eating away into touches. Bhayshul Tuten is right now the poster child of that. If Chris Rodriguez, we saw him catching passes. LaQuinn Allen, the only thing he's good at is catching passes and pass blocking. Bhayshul Tuten, the only thing that we have to look at from his career has been primarily just running in like goal line stuff. His usage last year was incredibly short. Basically what I'm saying is there was nothing to extrapolate or say anything other than he's good at short yardage, which isn't even the thing that you want in fantasy. Are you concerned? Do you think that he's just going to be, to me, the most high risk, high reward player on the board right now, whether it's dynasty or fantasy or redraft?
I think that's exactly it. I think that for redraft, he's a very high risk, high reward guy. I think for dynasty, I don't know that his actual value will ever reach his perceived value, if that makes sense. Like, I think that he will always be seen a bit more hyped up than what he can actually give you in dynasty. I think he'll be a fun running back too, but even if he goes off this year, how long does that last, right? Like, this is still a day 3 running back who's had a history of fumble issues, who isn't the biggest guy. He comes out of Virginia Tech, and he was not a hyper efficient guy. He was a boom bust running back that would either break long runs or get stuff behind the line of scrimmage. And then one of the things that Liam Cohen has talked about is with our running backs is we want efficiency. And that's why we bring in Chris Rodriguez, because he's a quote glass eater. And so, okay, you're going to have your efficient runs and that's exactly what ended up happening. It feels very similar to Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt last year. I'm not saying these guys are the same type of prospects, but Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt last year was a big, like, I'm going to bounce it outside and get 20 yards, or I'm going to run into the guard's ass and lose a yard. And Chris Rodriguez came in and he was getting 3 yards every play, and it's not super exciting, but some of these coaches just love that, man. They love a guy that they can rely on for 3 yards. You need 5 yards? I'm going to get you 3 yards. Okay, that's good enough for me. And so they end up loving the Chris Rodriguez types. And then a guy who I think both of us still really like, who I think is going to get more play in this offense than people probably think, is LaQuinn Allen, because he's such a good passing down back. He's a great pass blocker. He's a great receiver, a guy that used to play receiver before playing running back. I think this is going to be a player who's going to be out on the field quite a bit. So once you start to just like, okay, Chris Rodriguez is out there, LaQuinn Allen is out there. Rodriguez is the bigger guy who probably is going to get the goal line stuff. Allen is the receiving back who's going to be out there getting the high value touches. Now you're just kind of hoping that Bhayshul Tuten's going to break one off in this game off of 15 touches, or 13 touches. And it might not always happen for you. So he's just going to keep being this boom bust, high risk, high reward guy who I don't know that he lasts very long as a starting running back.
Exactly. And right now, people are telling me one thing, but at least, and I always say, like, not in my leagues, I'm a little bit doing that. People seem to hate TreVeyon Henderson and love Tuten, and I can't trade up from Tuten to Henderson. I've offered,
really?
Like, people, okay. They're like, well, yeah, they're like, give me a 27 first and Tuten. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Even I don't like Tuten. And I'm like, this, okay, you could get Henderson or the first, but I don't really want to do that. But if I offer Tuten and what's projected to be a high second, they're saying no. And I'm like, everything that's being ranked, it says that this should make sense. And I'm not even using a trade calculator. I'm just doing perceived value based on what I'm trying to get. Like, it just makes no sense. I don't think people are realistic. Everyone is slightly scared about Tuten, but everyone really believes. And then, like, the guys like us were like, man, the moment you get 3 running backs involved, it's just not good for anyone. If you get 2 in a really good offense, it's fine. But 3 And it's just it's shitty. We've seen this year in and year out, and I'm really worried about it. Like I need the dynasty bros to start living the life that they say they are. Like either trade me Henderson or say that you fucking hate him for real. Like be a man about it.
Yeah. Dude, and the Jaguars, I think the toughest thing with Tuten is like the Jaguars are projected to be a very good offensive team this year. But there's also a world where they're just not. Like you go back to how that team looked. I finished charting Trevor Lawrence. That team did not look very good through like the first, I want to say 9 weeks of the season.
The first half of the season wasn't good, man.
And then it was, okay, now we got Parker Washington going. We got Brian Thomas Jr. back and healthy, and we just traded for Jacoby Myers. And then finally we started to get some better Trevor Lawrence, but he was still relatively inconsistent. It wasn't until really like the final 5-game stretch where you're like, oh, this offense looks good. And they got hot at the right time. And that's what ends up happening is the NFL teams get hot at the right time. The quarterback gets hot at the right time. And that's what we remember as the season ends is we always remember like the first 5 weeks and the last 5 weeks. Either this guy burned me early on, like Chase Brown, and I hate him, or, Trevor Lawrence got going late and the Jaguars are going to be cooking next year. And like we saw, he wasn't that great against Buffalo in the playoffs. He kind of struggled against some of the better teams. And then you look at the schedule that they played towards the end there where Trevor Lawrence was really going off.
The Colts
twice. Some of the worst passing defenses in the league. Now, granted, they're going to play some of those again because they're in division. But like, I'm not all the way in on this Jaguars, like, I guess, breakout for the offense becoming this juggernaut offense like the Rams. I just don't think we're quite there yet. I think we need a little more context.
I will say, I actually love the point because you're right. We think about the first 4 weeks and the last 4 weeks, and that's the two sides of the bus. I'm definitely on the one side of the bus. And I'll be fair, the only reason I'm there, it's a new offense. New offenses take time, and there were some injuries in the Buffalo game, whatever. I'm willing to accept that as well. But you are right, where there's a reason why we're all in on the Rams before we're all in on the Jaguars offense, whether you're talking best ball, redraft, or making buys in Dynasty. We know the Rams are going to be good. The only reason the Rams will not be good is if Matt Stafford gets hurt and Ty Simpson is awful, or everyone gets it's going to take injuries for them to be bad. The Jaguars, we need everyone to play good at the same time and not get injured. So there's that extra layer. And sometimes I always say, try to look at it from the sunny side of the bus, but let's not forget what's happened over on that other side of the wall because it could affect you too. And I think Tuten is going to be the prime running back to where I'm not saying don't draft him, but it's just weird value for him in Dynasty because I can't move him at all. Like he's intradeable for me. And I'm in multiple kinds of leagues. It's like, no, everyone loves him. No one wants him. Everyone hates TreVeyon Henderson. No one wants to give him up. It's always those weird players that I never can quite understand their value. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. And this doesn't mean that I'm out on the Jaguars. I think there's going to be one or maybe two players that end up being extremely valuable from this Jaguars offense. It's going to be hard to predict who. But it's one of those things where it's funny to hear you say that in Dynasty you can't trade Tuten away because everyone just sounds like they love him until it actually comes time to pay for him.
To you actually got to click the button. I'll tell because everyone's like, not in my league. I'm like, you got to try it because like sometimes I'll send some shit. I'm like, hey man, I'm seeing this happen. And on the flip side, like guys on the internet, us on YouTube, on Twitter, we live in this vacuum, that we think everyone else is in. And the rest of the world isn't. People hate the Jaguars, man. They fucking hate the Jaguars. I don't mean they hate them like we hate Dallas or Philadelphia or any in the NFC East while we're talking about it. It's that they hate the Jaguar system and the production that they put out. Tuten's a part of that. I put out a tweet yesterday. The hate for Trevor Lawrence is, even though the points that you made are correct, they far exceed what he actually did. Like people think that he's just the worst QB ever and a bust, and that's also not true. Is he closer to whatever you think Baker Mayfield is or Jared Goff? Yeah, I think like he might be athletic Jared Goff. Let's just say that he could be athletic Jared Goff. And that trickles down to Tuten, to where normal people in your life won't trade him, but the regular people are like, hey, Ramondre fumbles a bunch and he kind of sucks. So I'm like, I'm going to hang on to Henderson. And everyone else is like looking at charting and whatnot. And it's funny to play that game. Nothing's happened. I haven't been on Twitter during this. I think those are all the camp storylines we have for this week. I'm going to have Ian on again tomorrow, I believe, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about training camp all year long, because that's the only thing that's happened all summer long. We finally have things, and it's mostly injuries. Alfredo, you're over at Reception Perception. You chart quarterbacks, and you got your own channel back there, Pretend GM. You're going to be seeing Alfredo in a lot of places that I can't announce, because that would be bad. And
but very soon.
But very soon. But right now, sub to Pretend GM. And you all know Reception Perception. He's their quarterback guy over there. It's me, Jagger May. And as I mentioned, that's Alfredo Brown. And you just watched Training Camp Storylines. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time.